Hello everyone. So, game week, what are we on? 14 now. Game week 14. Welcome to the game week 14 preview for ChampManFPL. So, I hope your game week 13 went okay. The week that pretty much everybody captained down in Shearer, I think. So, a bit of a stinker of an early red card in that game. Obviously, we've spoken before about how red cards affect games. That won't have helped Newcastle. And what also won't have helped is that as a result of the red card, they hooked Kyle Court and brought on Danny Calamatri. So that was to me, that was almost kind of a double blow, because I definitely feel that Newcastle are better attacking when you've got Shearer and Court. So they went down to 10 men, and then they put Calamatri next to Shearer, which is not great, because Calamatri is nowhere near as good in the air as Kyle Court with their long ball. But anyway, he pulled one goal out of the fire, and we kind of all had him anyway. So one goal was all right, I think. Kind of did the job, didn't it? It meant that nobody else really punished us if you brought Shearer in and captained him. So that was kind of okay. What else did we get? We got Jason Ewell hat-trick. So I don't know how many people had Jason Ewell, but Charlton at home against Sunderland. It's a game where he can do something. He tends to hit double figures, really consistently in Sims. Good little player, Jason Ewell. And then the matchup. So Kevin Phillips. So I took a -4 in the end. So I took out Van Nistelrooy and Viduka because, as we spoke about last week, the matchup, Man United Liverpool looked really tight, and Leeds, when they go away to big teams, not ideal. So I took a -4 to do Viduka and Van Nistelrooy to Shearer and Phillips. So not too bad, a goal each, but same old story really. Small doses of the right answer. But I'll take it. Henry blanked again, so I can be thankful at least I've avoided Henry for the last couple of weeks, because I've definitely considered bringing him in with the run he's had. But thankfully there have been other options which have swayed me. Really, that's all there is to it. It's not that I don't rate Henry. It's just there were other options, and thankfully I went with the other people that were on the table. But I don't know what can you say. If you're at that position now where you think I'm just not picking him anymore, then I completely understand it. But on the other hand, I still think he's a good player, and he probably will come good, and then nobody will own him. But I guess if we're all in the same boat, then it might not matter. So looking at the table, so FPL English and Christoph Sam, so that's the top two. I think that's the same top two as last week, isn't it? Little gap at the top, not too much. There's lots of green arrows on that page. Some people making some moves. I'm buzzing to be on the first page, but not getting ahead of myself in 21st place now. I mean, I was down 101st place 3 weeks ago. So not getting too carried away yet. It's changed very quickly to go up there, and it could just as easily change very quickly to go back down again. So not getting too excited just yet. I know there are lots of you that have been on the first page for basically the whole time, and so that's incredible. But for me, I've only just got there, and I've got there very quickly in a short space of time. So not getting too excited just yet. But it's obviously nice to be there. So on to game week 14, and I think in contrast to last week, it looks like there are loads of opportunities for points this week. It really could be a week where if you just get a bit of luck and make the right decisions, then there could potentially be some big swings, I think. So Blackburn Derby first up. So Blackburn play normal at home, and Derby play normal away. So the 11 versus the 11 basically is what we're saying. You could normally talk about the tactic versus the tactic as well, and I suppose we can a bit, because We know that wingers tend to do well against Derby. They play with the wing-back system, so if you've got that double up against them, as we saw in the Arsenal game, that can be really great for the people playing out wide. But the trouble with Blackburn is they keep changing their formation, don't they? So will they play that formation with the three at the back and the wingers? So it will be 1 against 1, or will they play a system where they do have that double up? Not sure. But there's potential there either way, really, because Blackburn are just better than Derby, aren't they? And we see that in the Sims. So lots of green here for Blackburn. They're hitting 3 or 4, just over half the time here. And even when they're not, they've got a good handful of 2s. So only four times out of 20 they've failed to score at least twice. 18 wins, 12 clean sheets. Home attack green, home defence green, away attack red, away defence red is the way I see this. All about Blackburn for me. Man of the match as well. So you see the one game that Derby won, Mark Poom was man of the match. So it gives you an idea of how that went. Yeah, all Blackburn for me. And the player returns, so we've seen this before, haven't we? Bent and Janssen out on top. Will they play 2 up front? Will De Boer play up front instead of Janssen? Janssen could play AMC. De Boer's a really good pick. And you can see, so this new times return column, you can see that De Boer's 6 returns came in only in 4 games. So if he's hot and playing in the right position, then he can do it, can't he? And yeah, Bent and Janssen. So Bent scored this week, didn't he? He's doing really well. He's been probably better value than Janssen so far. If you think about points per million, I think Bent probably edges it. And I do like him because if De Boer does play up front, then it tends to be in place of Janssen rather than Bent. Although Janssen can also do well from AMC. But if you think, I definitely want, if you've already got De Boer and you're thinking, I'd like to go a double up and have Bent or Janssen, and you're struggling, with the money to get Janssen, but you can afford Bent, then I would just go with Bent myself. I don't think you need to rip your team up to get Janssen over Bent. That would be my take on it. So that's Blackburn Derby. Chelsea Bolton. Chelsea will attack at home. I think Bolton will defend in this game. I suppose there's a chance they could play normal, but looking at my sim results, I think they'll play defensive. And I think, to be honest, either way, even if they play normal, we know Chelsea's defence is really good, don't we? So I don't think it makes too much difference. I'd just, either way, not too keen on Bolton this week, really. But these were my sim results. So Chelsea, by Chelsea standards, this is a lot of green, isn't it? They don't tend to go off the hook too often. But clean sheets, I think will be strong for Chelsea this week. So yeah, good home game for Chelsea. And player returns Carboni and Zenden. So I think this is pretty much sums up the sim we're actually playing so far, doesn't it? It's the 2 wide men for Chelsea that are doing the goods. And yeah, I think they are the picks. Forsell is also an option up front, but you've got always that slight risk. I mean, maybe Zola's dropping out, but I think Forsell for the moment is maybe still a little bit of a risk. But for me, I'd probably want a few more weeks of seeing him start, but that's just my opinion. Carboni and Zenden, they're locked picks. You've got Carboni on penalties, set pieces. and Zenden's just a great player. City Arsenal. So Man City will play normal against a high rep team. Arsenal will go away and attack this game. Sorry, I got those in the wrong order. So here's the Sims. Yeah, so this is a bit of a weird one because you can see here that we've had 5 red card affected games where City have got a result. So that's a bit of a freak. I would say I'm not saying that I would tip a red card in this game. I think that's probably just a bit freakish, but yeah. So City have got a couple of 3-1 wins, a 2-1 win, and a couple of 1-1 draws. Where Arsenal have had an early red card. So I only mark these in red if I think the red card has affected the game. So sometimes you see a red card, in the 80th minute plus or whatever, but the team you'd expect to win kind of wins anyway, and there's no goals after it happens. So I won't mark it as a red card affected game then, because there's been a red card but it hasn't affected the result. But all 5 of these, when I clicked into it, I think you could say, yeah, the red card has definitely made a big impact on the game. The teams have changed their tactics. It's happened quite early. There's been lots of goals after it's happened, that kind of thing. So yeah, maybe without that, Arsenal would look a little bit better. But you can see here in the non-red card affected games, they've hit 6, 4, 4, 3. So there's definitely potential for Arsenal. But yeah, this is a little bit skewed. I'll be interested in some other numbers from some other people on this one. I would instinctively favour Arsenal. So player returns. So one shot, as you'd expect for City, kind of the main man. Bergkamp isn't really playing too much in our sim. It's a bit of a shame because he can be really good. But yeah, it's more likely to be Jeffers. Yes, he shouldn't be suspended just yet, although he got sent off last week. But you're probably not interested in bringing him in because obviously that's on the horizon. Flitcroft did pretty well from midfield, and Tiasso in the wrong colour there, sorry. But yeah, it's a strange one with all those red cards. I would say that it's more in Arsenal's favour than what we saw. Ipswich Borough. Ipswich will attack at home. Borough will play with a normal mentality and press, so not too bad. Reasonably open game. And they're both averaging over a goal a game. Not too many greens, reasonably tight. They've both got good defences, haven't they? Especially they've both got good centre backs. So yeah, pretty evenly matched this one. Probably not one to target for transfers or captaincy. If you've already got players from either side, you can look at the positives. And just for a bit of fun, really. This was one of the games. So this was the 5-0 that we saw in the previous screen for Middlesbrough, just to show you how clinical they were in that game. So the one where they won 5-0, Boxic had 7 shots, 6 on target, scored 4. Rickard had 2 shots, 2 on target, scored 1. So yeah, no comment on that really, other than to say, that's the kind of thing that can happen. You can never, and I guess that's one of the reasons why I always prefer to look at the ceiling rather than the average. Look at the matchups, but yeah, these crazy things can happen. And the players in this game. So Boxic did well, but as we saw, he scored 4 of those in one game. Gordon did pretty well. but he's will he play or not? Gordon's a bit of a selection risk. Zepeda and Miller. So I spoke about Miller on the Man On podcast last week. I do like Miller as a pick. Now he's in at Middlesbrough. So when they play at home and they attack, especially, I mean, this is an away game, so this won't have happened in this game. But when they play at home and attack, he has an attacking arrow that sort of points into the AMC position. So when Middlesbrough have the ball at home, Middlesbrough is basically an AMC. So a bit cheaper than Zepeda. So I think Miller's an interesting pick between now and the end of the season. He scored on Thursday night. He's $1 million cheaper than Zepeda. Obviously, you've got that, potentially that benefit of everybody's on Zepeda rather than Miller. I think it's something to consider. He might be someone that could make you some ground. As I say, by virtue of the fact that everyone's on Zepeda, Miller could be a good differential. Leeds Villa. So Leeds will attack at home, and Villa are probably the worst team in the game away from home against a big team, because they play men behind the ball, they don't counter-attack, they're defensive. It's as bad as it gets, really, in terms of giving yourself a chance to score a goal. And you see that here, 14 clean sheets out of 20 for Leeds. They're going to be on the front foot for the whole 90 minutes, unless something like a red card changes the way that Villa play. But chances are Villa are just going to sit in and let Leeds attack them for the whole game. So yeah, there's any percentage call is there's only one likely result, and that's a fairly comfortable Leeds win. So terrible for Villa attacking assets, good for Leeds defence, good for Leeds attack. And the player return, so all Leeds, as I say. So Villa are unlikely to have more than probably 2 or 3 shots in this game unless something weird happens. So as for Leeds, pick your favourite, really. So Robbie Keane, good chance that he won't play. So be interested in the official stream to see the injury news on that. Obviously he could drop out of this, and then maybe Smith could play some more games than he did in my Sims. So I think that's definitely something to consider now. If Smith is nailed alongside Viduka, he's so much cheaper, maybe that's something to think about. But yeah, pretty much pick your favourite from Leeds. It's a really good game for them. Leicester Watford. So Leicester will attack at home. Watford. So I've got Watford attacking here. I think I've cut their home screen out by mistake. That should be normal. Leicester will attack. Watford will be normal rather than attacking. I've cut out the wrong thing there. And in Sims, Leicester edging it, slightly more aggressive. So just shading it, hitting 3 or more a few more times. Don't really fancy a clean sheet for either of them. Probably, I suppose some people might have Delaney. So I guess he's got some chance of a clean sheet. But like the Leicester win here. But as always with Watford when they go away, the Petkov holders, they're averaging over a goal a game. If he gets one return, you'd probably be happy enough, wouldn't you? So they always give themselves a chance, Watford. They never set up ultra defensive. So player returns I saw. So is it nice pick? Lots of people hold him on penalties. Plays in a good position. Normally has a nice attacking arrow. Smith dribbled some returns, consistent ones for Watford. Say Watford averaging over a goal a game, so that kind of makes sense. Scowcroft, Sturridge, yeah. Leicester edging it. Liverpool, Newcastle. Liverpool will attack, Newcastle will defend. So yeah, Newcastle are pretty bad away as well. They're kind of not quite as bad as Villa because they don't have men behind the ball. But against a team like Liverpool, with this, they're defensive and they're just pinging long balls to Liverpool, and we know how good Liverpool are at the back. Chances are Liverpool are going to deal with that. It's meat and drink to them, isn't it? And that's what we're seeing here. So Liverpool 16 wins out of 20, 13 clean sheets. Another team with a really good clean sheet chance this week. Newcastle, I mean, if they do anything, it's kind of just freak variance that you get in the game. And we'll look at this 1-0 win they had there. Marcelino had the game of his life, which we'll look at in a minute. So that kind of thing can happen. But playing the percentages, Liverpool look good for a fairly comfortable win, and good clean sheet chance, about as good as you'll get for a clean sheet chance. And this was that one they won 1-0. So you see here, Marcelino has contested 15 headers, won 12 of them, 5 of them key. Just had the game of his life back there and kept Liverpool out. And carried old Dominic here. He's not really a centre back, but Matteo won't be playing. What do you think? He's injured. But yeah, it's the kind of thing that can happen. But percentages say that it won't. Player returns. Not often we see Liverpool players in double figures on here, but the key attacking men. Yeah, it's a good game for Liverpool, isn't it? And I think it's interesting. I don't know. I keep talking myself in and out of this, but I think Liverpool's next 3 games look really good. And I don't know. considering whether Owen over the next 3 weeks might be something. There's a bit of a differential that could work. We'll have a look at that at the end. Millwall, Charlton. So Millwall will in the basement battle. Millwall will attack. Charlton will play normal. So again, that's not too bad. This is a fairly open game. But Millwall are slightly more aggressive in their attacking intent, and they're coming out on top. That's pretty good. I mean, at 2 goals average, and they've hit 3 or more once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. I mean, that's good. We know how bad Charlton are at the back, and Millwall will attack this game. So I suppose the trouble is that if you bring Millwall players in for 1 week, you've then got to get them back out again. But yeah, I mean, if I was on a free hit, I'd definitely want a Millwall player this week. Clean sheets, forget about it for either team. I mean, Charlton, although they leak goals, they tend to score in a loss, don't they? So not bad for them attacking, but just better for Millwall. And we've got a game here again just for fun, really. Sean Bartlett here has had 10 shots, 8 on target. He could have scored 4 or 5 goals in this game easily. He's only scored twice. Yule was a bit more clinical. If only Yule had all those chances. Yours had 3 shots, 2 on target, scored 1 goal. So yeah, in a game like that where neither team are particularly good at defending, you could maybe get that kind of crazy thing, and maybe someone could do something silly. Player returns, so Yule and Alex Anderson. So yeah, that's a nice opportunity to mention Alex Anderson. It's a new signing in at Millwall, playing on the wing. So he did really well in this game. Bartlett, Savarese, Cahill, Eiffel, Livermore. I think Livermore's good when he plays, but you can't rely on it. But I think Charlton are lower rep than Millwall, so I don't know. Maybe if we had a Millwall lineup yet, maybe there's a chance we get a Millwall lineup this week. I don't know. Okay, if you were on a free hit or looking for a 1 week punt, and you saw that Livermore was playing in this game, I wouldn't be dead against it, or Alex Anderson. But as I say, maybe it leaves you a problem with future weeks. Spurs Man United. So this one looks good. Both teams will attack. And potential for sort of almost anything here. Both teams will attack. Both teams have got good attacking players. Clean sheets, forget about it for either team really. Good open game. So Man United have been on a bit of a wobble really, I suppose, but I wouldn't read too much into that. This is a game where they could easily hit 3, 4, 5. Because of the team mentalities, and then also we've got that overload on the wings. So Tottenham play with wing backs, Man United play 4-4-2. So again, we've got that opportunity again, similar to the Arsenal. It doesn't always happen. I pointed it out with Man United Leeds earlier in the season, and it didn't really work out. Although Man United won the game, it wasn't Beckham and Giggs that really did anything. But we've seen other examples where it definitely pays off. It's not guaranteed, but it's definitely something we've seen a good amount of times that you can focus on. And the Derby Arsenal game with Perez hauling was one example where it really worked out. And in the player returns, you can see it again. Giggs and Beckham on the wings, where they've got that overload, and even Sylvester is here. So yeah, there's definitely the potential for that. Those wide players doing well against the formation, and Tottenham are also going to try and attack. I suppose that's the difference between the Man United Leeds game earlier in the season. Leeds were trying to defend in that game, whereas with the Derby Arsenal game, Derby were at home, so they were actually trying to do something, and Arsenal were also attacking. And in this game, it's attack. So yeah, I like the wide players for Man United this week. Obviously, it could be Chadwick, lots of Chadwick holders. Maybe that could be dynamite this week. If Chadwick gets a start, I'd be afraid of that as a non-owner. So that's Spurs Man United. Sunderland Everton. Sunderland will attack at home. Everton will play normal. So again, in contrast to last week, it's another game where it's fairly open, which is the majority of the games this week. But again, the team with the slightly more aggressive tactic is just about coming out on top. So yeah, fair chance of Sunderland hitting 3 or 4. Lots of 2s as well. Everton can't write them off completely. So yeah, it's yet another game where a clean sheet for either team doesn't look too likely. So I think I'll keep Kevin Phillips for this game. And player returns, so Teal, Phillips. Yeah, I mean these are fairly low numbers. This is definitely one of those where wouldn't read too much into it. It's just a reflection that both teams have got a chance of getting something from somewhere. So top returns. So yeah, again, as I said, I mean, there's so many opportunities for points this week. I mean, here are the top returners from my sims, but there's opportunities all over the place. The Millwall Charlton game, the Tottenham Man United game. Leeds look really strong at home to Aston Villa. Liverpool look really strong at home to Newcastle. I think the Arsenal City game could have goals in it. There's opportunities all over the place. Basically, the only two teams I don't like this week are Villa and Newcastle, and that's kind of it. They're the only two teams that I would, if I had players from them in my team, I'd be getting them out for this week. That really is kind of it. So chances for goals over the next 4 weeks. So Arsenal, they've still got a good run. I mean, I won't bang on about Thierry Henry because, as I say, I completely understand the sentiment towards him. It's getting ridiculous over a season and a third now. He's just let people down again and again and again. But if you want to be that guy that wants to rake in the points while everyone else abandons him, then the next 4 look good for Arsenal, and in 17 they've potentially got a double. So I'm not too sure when we find out about this now. Actually, I think it depends on Arsenal's League Cup progress, is my understanding, but I'm not sure when we find out. But even without that, the next 4 are pretty good, and the double could be a bonus. Who else I think has got a good run? So Chelsea, Bolton at home looks pretty good. Middlesbrough away will be a reasonably open game. Then they've got Charlton at home, which that could be anything, couldn't it? And then Newcastle away. That's a pretty good run. Leeds, Aston Villa, then Derby, then Watford. That looks great to me. Leicester outside of the big boys, Watford home, then they've got Blackburn at home again, Sunderland away. There'll be a fairly open game, and then City at home. So City go away and defend. So that's a good run for Leicester, I think. Liverpool, so saying about Owen before. I mean, so they've got Newcastle at home, who are one of the worst teams away against a big team. Then they've got Charlton. Then they've got Aston Villa, who along with Newcastle is kind of the other team that don't really give themselves a chance away. I thought, that next 3 for Liverpool, really considering it. I don't know. Something to think about anyway. Liverpool just don't score that many goals though, do they? Do you really trust them? But there's definitely potential there. Man United, say on a bit of a wobble, but Spurs is one of the better away games for a big team because Spurs will try and attack. Then Ipswich at home. So Ipswich might go to Old Trafford and play with wing backs again, as we've spoken about. That could happen. Middlesbrough away, that'll be a reasonably open game. And then they'll have Bolton at home, another team that might play with wing backs against the 4-4-2 when they go to Old Trafford. So I like Man United over the next 4 weeks. Whether you go Rude or try and do something different, that's another thing I'm weighing up. Do I buy back Rude, or do I try and get Veron in? And I don't know. I definitely want one Man United midfielder, one Man United striker over the next 3 or 4, I think. And then Millwall, so the Charlton game, as we saw, Millwall could easily score 2 or 3 or even more than that this week. And then they've got Everton away, which is not too bad. You wouldn't bet against them getting a goal in that game. And then they'll have Derby at home, which is not too bad. Derby have always got that chance of capitulating. And then Aston Villa away. It's not bad for a team like Millwall. So that's the look ahead for attack. And look ahead defence. So I think Arsenal again is decent. City away, I wouldn't put my house on them keeping a clean sheet away at City. But Sunderland at home is pretty good. Tottenham away is probably bad, but then if they get the double, then Liverpool will go to Highbury and try and defend the same as they did at Old Trafford, where we got the 0-0 this week. And then Bolton will also try and defend. So if they get that double, then yeah, good for Arsenal defensive assets looking forward, I think. Chelsea, Bolton at home. So we saw they've got a good chance of a clean sheet at home to Bolton. And then Middlesbrough away, again I wouldn't bet your house on them keeping a clean sheet away at Middlesbrough, but the week after that they've got Charlton at home, so 2 out of the next 3 look really good for a potential clean sheet for Chelsea. And then Newcastle away. Newcastle have always, with their tactic, have always got that chance of just being terrible. And then Leeds, really like them this week. Derby away, Watford home, Blackburn away. So yes, it's a reasonable run. So I don't put many greens in here for reasons I've spoken about previously. But to have a green and then 3 orange, as I see it, is a fairly good run. Leicester, again, 3 orange out of 4 is not too bad. Liverpool I really like. Newcastle and Villa, 2 of the worst teams that go away from home, and Liverpool have got them both at home with inside the next 3 alongside Charlton. So yeah, Liverpool over the next 3, I really like it. It's just whether you go with their defence or attack, or a bit of both really. And then Man United have got two good home games out of the next 4. So I think that wraps it up for this week. Good luck with the game week, guys. I think this is a really exciting week, one that makes me a little bit nervous because it looks like there are so many opportunities for points out there this week. If you get it wrong, you could really be punished, but that's the game. You can't pick everybody, so just pick your favourites from the games that look good. Really, that's all you can do, and hope for the best. Alright, cheers guys, see you next week.